We've developed several ciphers.
Murdered in Dallas, Texas. He was shot by a sniper hiding in a building near his...
Holy fuck!
A bizarre flash occurs, and the plane has vanished. Upon
The WEF is an organization.
Fly away, Houston. Vector good. Bye-bye.
I have a quick history lesson for you guys.
Okay.
That's going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about today. Have you guys heard of Reichstag, the Reichstag fire?
Yes, the night of the long knives,
Yes. Yeah. Kristallnacht.
Kristallnacht.
Yeah. So this was February 27th, 1931. Okay. The Reichstag building, which was like a parliament building for Germany back in 1931, it ended up catching on fire. Right?
I like that. It ended up catching on fire.
Yeah.
The building did it
The building caught on fire.
on its own.
Well, when the Gestapo realized the building's on fire, right, there's a bunch of people that come and try to put out the fire. But then the Gestapo's like, we need to find the perpetrator. They run around the backside of Reichstag, the building, and they find Maurits van der Loo. Okay, Maurits van der Loo. 25
Rick
year
Moranis' great uncle, probably.
Yeah.
or grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite a almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll check it.
So, so Moranis is a 25-year-old half-blind
Okay.
communist
Okay.
who happens
Sounds
to be
Yeah.
unconscious and naked
Okay.
behind the building.
Sounds pretty suspicious.
Gestapo arrest him.
Good job, Gestapo.
They quickly put him on trial. 5 days later, he's found guilty,
Seems a little fast. but-
beheaded. Okay. Shortly after,
Geez, beheaded. Okay.
yeah, well, you don't mess around, dude.
Yeah. They
Shortly after
send
that,
message.
Hitler passes the Reichstag Fire Decree, which took away the majority of civil liberties temporarily from the
All
community.
of this makes sense.
In the
Okay.
name of safety.
In the name
Makes
of
sense.
safety.
Yeah.
Well, plus
Okay.
he was a communist, you said.
Yeah, he was communist. So,
Right.
Communist. And
Yeah.
we
And
know
to
that
be-
because the Gestapo told us that he was.
correct.
Yeah.
Enemy
Okay.
number one. Okay.
So then he passes this decree, okay, takes away majority of civil liberties
Yeah.
away from pretty much the population, and shortly after they usher in the beginning of World War II and start invading other countries. They banned publications that were critical of the Nazi Party, and then they started going around and finding communists in the area. And in that very night of Reichstag, they ended up killing as many communists as they could potentially find.
I can't believe any country would limit the civil liberties that are God-given of their people just to be a little bit safer. That seems so stupid.
Yeah,
It does seem stupid.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
would buy that?
I don't think there's many people that
What
would
a
do
bunch
that.
of sheep.
Yeah.
Like sheep.
Well, get this. There's also reports and documents that state that there were witnesses that saw the Gestapo going into Reichstag with buckets and
minute.
like barrels
That
of
doesn't make sense.
of
They
liquid.
They wouldn't do that.
Why? Yeah. Why would they?
So
Why would they? Do
Well, and you talk about World War II. One of the things that always stood out to me is World War II. They went and they took that Polish prisoner. The Germans did, or maybe not even. I don't know why he's a prisoner. And they just shot him, and then said that that guy was trying to invade Germany. And so then like, well, we must send all our tanks.
yeah, yeah,
And it was kind of their.
we gotta
So
go take care of that.
they faked it false flagged it, I guess you'd say.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So the witnesses say they saw the Gestapo go in. And so there's another line of historical context, I guess you could say, that says that Maranus Vanderloo was the one that lit the match, but he wasn't the one that staged and prepared the fire. He was the scapegoat. He was the fall guy.
This is sounding familiar.
Okay? Now, we're going to fast forward in history.
Okay.
Now we're going to move to September 11th, 1941. Do you know what happened on September 11th, 1941?
No, you tricked me. I thought you were
I
going
know.
to say a different year.
You thought, yeah.
Slow down.
1941.
September 11th, 1941.
Was that when that Japanese balloon bomb landed in Oregon and exploded?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't know that.
It was the first day of construction of a new government building called the Pentagon. Okay. Fast forward again, history, to
Never forget.
December
September
7th.
11th, 1941.
That's right.
Yeah.
December 7th, 1941.
I know this one.
What's this one?
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor. Okay. There's some things I want you to know about Pearl Harbor. Okay, some
And
things
close to your birthday.
that also true.
True, it is. I mean,
Also true.
Year and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I knew you were wrong. I knew you'd tell us one day. So get this. So Pearl Harbor, we all know what happened on that. Japanese attack Pearl Harbor, ended up killing over 2,000 soldiers.
I think Ben Affleck was like risen up all the ladies too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you would too. Though,
he got.
if you were
I heard he
Ben
actually
Affleck.
shot down a couple planes too. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He ends up dying later in the movie. Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
So
I
get
haven't
this:
seen
before the September 11th, or not September, sorry, December 7th attack on Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt had several meetings that are documented where he was counseled by his military council that there was going to be an imminent attack by the Japanese. And they had reason to believe that Pearl Harbor would be the location because that's where a majority of their Pacific Fleet was. That was the Pacific Fleet's stronghold. And he kind of was like, nah, I'm not worried about it. Not a big deal. And it wasn't until much after the attack that it was found that he was actually concealing it from his other military councils and not talking about the fact that he actually had forewarning of the attacks. Okay, and then also that led to obviously the United States getting into war, declaring war on Japan, which then later also pushed them into the European theater, and they ended up obviously fighting in World War II. But there's a couple things that also took place that I don't think a lot of people connect to those events. There's the Trinity Project.
Okay.
Okay,
I've not heard of that. Phil,
Okay.
you heard of that? Of course.
So the Trinity Project was the project that happened in Los Alamos, New Mexico, where they developed the atom bomb. Okay. Now, there's also documentation that you can find online that shows that the U.S. government was actually wanting to pursue the development of atomic weapons before December 1941. Okay? So you have the development of the atom bomb. The atom bomb was used on the Japanese, which then closed the World War II theater, okay, for the United States. And another really crazy thing came from that, and that was the idea of, and I have such a hard time saying this word, so I need you guys to help me. Compartmentalization.
Mentalization.
Compartmentalization.
Okay. Which, for those that don't know what that is,
The atom bomb also got rid of a different bomb. It is probably the raddest idea of a bomb ever.
and that was
It's called the bat bomb.
what? Oh, okay. I think I've actually heard.
Have you ever heard of this?
I don't think so.
So, if you were to release a bunch of bats, where do they go?
Like,
If
I
you
just
released them over a
release
city, they go into the eaves of the houses and stuff. So this
Yeah.
guy thought in his head, I have an idea. So he created this little backpack that would go on bats. and it was like made out of the stuff that like the match heads are made out of.
This can't be
And it had
real.
a timer on it. This is 100% real.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going away from conspiracy right now. This is true.
All right.
And
It's all
literally
it's all
comes out.
true,
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's all true.
so then he designed a bomb, like you think from the cartoons, and he'd just shove a bunch of these bats with these little backpacks on them. And then you drop them, and then they go down for a period, and then they open, and the bats tumble out, fly, and then they immediately fly to
Somebody's
the
house.
houses.
Yeah.
And then a short time later, the backpacks burst into flames, and they actually did a test run on it, and it like caused an insane amount of damage because the Japanese buildings, if you've ever seen Karate Kid,
I have.
they're made out of wood and paper essentially.
Yeah.
So these bats came down, landed on these poor Japanese
So the
people's houses.
idea wasn't to like blow up.
No.
The idea was to spark.
Right.
and like
A
like
flame.
a giant match head sitting in these paper houses
Okay.
with millions of bats that were dropped from a plane.
Dude, that's so wild.
So
That is like diabolic. I'd like to think of that.
So I guess, I mean, when you look at it, it's like, is anything really off the table? 'Cause that is a
Apparently not.
crazy,
That's-
crazy idea.
yeah.
Even Fielding said this can't be true.
Splitting the atom.
Fielding believes almost everything.
Or equipping bats
With
Yeah.
backpacks.
with tiny little backpacks.
And America said, let's do both. So,
Compartmentalization.
Yeah, all right.
All right. So back to
Compartmentalization.
compartmentalization.
Yes.
Yes.
It's perfect, dude.
Okay. That actually came from the Trinity Project, which then was used as in the U.S. government, and it was widely used from that point on, keeping different departments, agencies, individuals
On a need to know.
on a need-to-know basis. They could be working on something and have no idea that they were making parts to a nuclear weapon, and they wouldn't talk to the departments. Yeah, so kind of interesting thing that came from that. Now you might actually know this date, Travis. You've actually mentioned this before, so I'm gonna test you. Next date I want to talk about is August 4th,
Okay.
1964.
August 4th, 1964. Was this the day that John F. Kennedy was shot?
No, that was in
No,
November.
that was earlier. That was 64. Was this when we got rid off the gold standard?
No.
Oh, that's my only two guesses.
Okay.
I mean, I
There's-
could guess more, but I'd be wrong probably.
Do you know the Gulf of?
Oh, Gulf of
Tonkin?
Tonkin. Oh, yeah, the Gulf of Tonkin, which never happened.
Is that the Bay of
Also,
Pigs thing?
guess
Or
whose
is that
dad
separate?
it was? Who was the admiral? Do you know this?
I don't know if I know this piece.
Hold on a second. Gulf of Tonkin was when, to get into Vietnam, we said that they attacked one of our ships in the Gulf of Tonkin. And but that didn't happen. For a while, we thought it did happen, and but then that we had fired on our own ship. But then it's kind of come out now that it just never happened.
Yeah, no, there's actual documentation that you can go and see that it actually never took place. That, gosh, who was the president at that time? I didn't write it down.
That was Nixon.
Nixon.
Of course, it was Nixon.
And he didn't,
Somebody had the genius
basically
idea of
lied
like,
and said that it happened and it never did.
hey, instead of blowing up our own ships,
Oh,
why don't we just say we did?
so listen. So check
And then
this
they're
out.
like,
Save some time.
That's genius.
Yeah, like the other guys are like, we blew up all those ships. It's like, yeah, you could have just told them you did.
And then they were like, oh,
No!
I'm so
We
embarrassed.
killed all those innocent
I'm
Americans.
so embarrassed.
Oh well.
Next
But here,
time.
but here, check this out. The admiral who was over this fake thing was
Something
Jim
Cheney.
Morrison's dad from The Doors. Who we can talk about another
Okay.
time.
Psyop.
Psyop.
Yep.
Okay.
... We'll come back to that, but it is interesting that so Jim Morrison, literally, his dad was involved in one of the biggest cover-ups of all time.
Yeah. 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 So that took place.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to fast forward to September 10th,
So close.
I remember what I was doing.
2001.
I remember what I was doing on September 10th, 2001. I
Where
lived
were you
on a street called Cervantes
Okay.
in an apartment. And Normandy, my daughter, was 2, like 18 months or whatever.
That's crazy.
And we were just hanging out,
in middle
and honestly had a great day. And then went to bed, woke up, 2 terrible news.
Yeah. But you know what was significant that happened on September 10th, 2001?
I think I do, but I'll let you say. Well,
I
should I
also
put it in
think
an
I do.
envelope on my?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we admitted to the American public that we had lost something.
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave it there because
Yeah.
then
Do you know how
I
much it was?
I want to say it's gone up in my mind. I think
think
I
it
want to
had
say
a T.
trillions,
I think it
but
had
I
a
think it's
T.
a
Had a
trillion.
T.
It's a
Yeah,
trillion.
T
If you
attached
were to
to
take
it.
a T and times it by 2,
2 trillion,
about 2 trillion.
and that's in real money. It isn't like now where I could barely get you like a burger.
Yeah, this was back.
That was back when
2001.
2 trillion was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you think about like what the national debt was back
I will
then.
say that if I earned in 2001 what I earn now, I'd be basically rich.
Yeah. I literally
I bought
did.
my house the year after that for $139,000. Then it's right in this place. It is now currently worth about $700,000.
That's so
That's
nuts.
disgusting.
The house, my first house. Yeah.
So I did a calculation on Google.
So 2 trillion would be. Hold on. So if we did that math, it'd be like 6-7 trillion now that they just.
Oh, yeah.
lost.
Yeah,
inflation,
it'd be
yeah.
like whatever we keep pumping to whatever country we keep giving it to. But I put in like what I make, which we were talking about earlier. That's equivalent to like 55,000,
Dude.
I think, back then. So I'm like thinking I'm making good money,
Yeah.
and I'm still not making. Like,
Have you guys ever climbed a sand dune?
yes,
That's
Yes.
what it's like, dude. You're like,
yeah,
and then you look down, you're like, oh, I've only gone like 6
yeah,
inches.
and I'm exhausted.
So yeah, the U.S. government came out and said, "Hey, U.S. public, we may or may not have potentially lost $2 trillion.
Donald
I know,
Rumsfeld, you
Donald
silly,
Rumsfeld.
you silly
But
guy.
Don't worry, we're looking for it, and
They're like
there's an
accountants, you know what I mean?
investigation.
Those
Yeah.
people.
We're gonna find it."
We'll find it.
Now, here's another
Trust
thing
me.
that you probably didn't know that took place as well on September 10th.
Someone
Somebody,
went and bought a new boat
somebody,
because they had a lot of money all of a sudden.
somebody shorted American Airlines.
No way,
So get this. So on September 10th,
bro. Who was it?
Legit.
a
If it's a
significant
Clinton, I'm gonna poop my pants.
It's not a Clinton.
a significant amount of put
Nancy
options were bought on,
way.
on American Airlines.
Yeah.
And-
What?
Which at the time, American Airlines doesn't exist anymore. American Airlines was, their ticker was AMR.
Okay.
And significant put options were bought on UAL, which is United Airlines. Okay. Not only were those 2 airlines were put options bought on September 10th, but also all of your major insurance companies had significant put options bought on September 10th.
And all I heard about was them whining about how they have to pay out all these things.
Yeah. So for our viewers, stock market goes up, everybody wins. You could buy an option with somebody else that you say, I'm going to buy this stock. Let's say the stock's $100. You say, I'm going to buy this stock at $20 in 3 days. And then the other person's like, that's insane. Like, it's going to be worth tons of money. And then when the stock plummets, the difference of that money you just made if you bought the put. So that means somebody knew the stock on all of those different companies was about to drop drastically.
Dude,
And
was
they
it really
made
Nancy
a
Pelosi?
killing.
I don't know if it was Nancy
Was it
Pelosi.
really Nancy Pelosi? Were you joking
I-
with me?
No, there was actually, it
I
was
thought
a
it was-
There was
majority.
a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
There was a lot. And there's,
I mean, look, if you're out there, if I could just join that group of people,
Just hook me
I'm
up.
not saying I would feel good about myself, but
Just let me get in on
Yeah.
one of the fixes.
One trade,
Just
dude.
one trade. Yeah. Yeah.
that's all, and then I'll be good after that.
Yeah.
And I can help people.
Yeah,
So
there's a-
what other justifications?
there's
Yeah.
a report that was
How do
published.
people live? How would people live with themselves? I know how, because there's nobody in those planes.
Well, that's
Yeah.
you're getting ahead of us.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert. So there was a journal article that was published by the Journal of Business in July of 2006 that goes over all the significant data that they have looking backwards at all the put options, the actual calculations, the money that was made, and the financial institutions and individuals that profited from it. But the actual amount of money that was made on these put options, so to put it into context, on September 10th, okay, let me go back here. Sorry, I've got my little market up here. The S&P 500, okay, back then, was, hold on, let me go back here. Sorry, I thought I had this ready.
No apologies needed, Danny. No judgment in my heart.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I'm carrying a little.
Okay,
Dude,
I'm carrying a little. Let's see.
I was thinking about this like with Bitcoin. This was bigger than Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I mean,
here
if
it
you
is.
were in,
So I found
yeah.
it. Sorry. Took me a second, but I got it. So back on September 10th, which was a Monday, okay? Or no. Sorry, I lied. Let me go back here.
it was like a Wednesday. or something.
September 10th. No, it was a Monday. So September 10th was a Monday. The market, at the end of that day, it closed right at about 1,082 on the S&P 500, which today is 5,116. Okay. At that time, the day after, okay, September 11th takes place, okay, the market basically tanked to the point where the government got involved because they were worried about the stock market crashing because of the attacks. They shut down the market. Okay?
They've
So
only
they-
stopped trading how many times in our history?
Yeah, very
Like-
seldom.
3 times?
Yeah. So they shut down trading all the way from September 10th to September 17th. Okay? And they reopened the market. The day that the market was reopened, okay, the market on that day dropped like, I think it was like 7%, and then continued to plummet for the following week until it got all the way from, like I said, it was 1,082 all the way to 968, which is over 10%. Okay. Now, for those of you that understand put options and
That's
trading in options,
insane amount of money.
if you had the foreknowledge to be able to buy put options on a market or call options, right? Calls are up, puts are down.
Yeah.
If you were to bet that the market was going to go down 10% and you were right, and you leveraged millions and millions and millions of dollars,
you made
your profit,
hundreds of millions.
yeah, you made hundreds of millions, if not into the billions of dollars. So, is that significant? I think it is. That shows,
Probably just a good guess.
Yeah.
either that it was the best guess
You're like
ever.
the strongest airline company
Yeah,
that's existed for a really long time. It's like probably going to tank tomorrow.
right. Seriously.
If they quit trading though, how did that work?
So what happened
So
was,
they did it before they shut down trading, and then they just honored all that at the end.
oh yeah.
Well, you have
Well, that's the
dates when the deal ends.
Well, and then the thing was, they made special deals though, because they shut down the market. The expiration dates on those options
Got put
they
out.
extended. So no matter what, the fact that the market got closed, it still paid out those options. So anyway, so there was many financial institutions that made tons of money betting that the airlines, those two specific airlines, were going to drop, and insurance companies across the board. Well, why? Because when September 11th took place, damage to cars, buildings, offices, equipment, personnel, key person policies, everything had to be paid out.
Wow.
And what is that going to do if you had a catastrophic event where insurance companies are having to throw hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into paying claims? It's going to bankrupt companies.
So who was the ultimate payer of all those billions of dollars?
Well,
The stockholders,
let's look at
right? Who lost money then?
who lost
Those
money
that
on those?
hold all the,
You know what I mean?
shares.
So if I was one of the evil people that bet against it and I get all this money, who's paying me that?
So if I had my pension
Broker.
in American Airlines,
Yeah.
and it's whatever,
my God.
$150,
It's literally like
and then it drops to $20.
It's like the plot of like a 1970s like evil villain movie.
Yeah.
Like let's steal from the pensioners.
Right.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
why
Ocean's 11 or something.
2008, the housing market screwed so many people. That's why you have all those Walmart greeters. Like, they lost their retirement.
Yep.
2008.
Yep.
And then they just lost it again in 2020.
Wow.
It was a faster, like, bounce back after 2020, but
Yeah.
that's, like, tons of value and trillions of dollars when the market drops.
Right. You know what's actually worth a lot of value, though?
What?
GameStop, baby.
Dude, let's hope. He wants to take us to the moon. No.
What is it you had me buy? I can't remember.
GameStop. AMC.
GameStop,
AMC.
AMC.
Yeah, it's going to moon too, dude. Chill.
Yeah, dude, just relax, man.
It's a solid.
But you know what actually has more value than a short option
What?
on AMC or a call option on anything? Tesla, you name it.
What?
Our Connect the Dots merch. Okay, Matabel Clothing is sponsoring Connect the Dots merch. Not only are you going to have a clothing line, but we also have mugs, stickers, more stuff coming your way. And we actually, as a Connect the Dots team, we ordered all of our own merch,
Of course. Dude.
which is coming in the mail.
It's
We're
the
super
finest
pumped
of
about
Egyptian cotton. And
Right.
That's just the mugs.
it. And that's
Yeah.
just it's just the mugs.
Doesn't hold a lot of water, but
Yeah.
But it's going to be amazing. So, anyways, we're going to have a link in the description below. Check them out. Get on Matabel Clothing. If you click on the little 3 lines in the top, look down a couple, you'll see a Connect the Dots page. Click on that. All of our merch is available. We've got Smack Matters.
The site will be here.
Yeah, right here. For this kind of
you look so concerned when you're holding it.
yeah, like he's going to drop it or
Yeah.
something.
There
Okay.
you go.
And we also have a pretty sweet Sasquatch alien werewolf shirt,
Nice.
which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
You can get our logos. There's all kinds of cool stuff. We're also going to be doing some special edition episode shirts that will come out based on the content that we create that you guys will be able to get in. There'll be limited time, so you got to jump on those. But get on there right now. Check out what's there. There's tons of colors, tons of sizes. If you are a small like Fielding or you're like the built better XL like Travis, you can.
XL, just one single XL.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't
That's
gonna.
right.
Settle down on that X.
I wasn't gonna. Yeah, I was just gonna keep it with XL. I wear an XL too. But anyways, tons of cool
Well-
stuff. That's our shout out, Matabel Clothing. Check it out before we dive into the rest of this, because it's gonna get heavy. So, back to September 10th. Crazy things in the market. $2 trillion is lost. And fast forward to the day of September 11th. We all know the story. I remember where I was on that day. I remember I didn't want to go to school, so I said I was sick. And I was sitting down at my kitchen table eating Fruit Loops and being glad I didn't have to go to school. And then I turned on the television, and on every single channel, the first plane hit the tower, and I was watching the news live when the second one hit. And my dad was back east, traveling for work.
Oh,
Scary.
And unfortunately, all the planes got grounded, and he had to drive home. Or maybe he was in California. I can't remember. He was somewhere. But it was still scary.
Something scary.
Scary, scary time.
stranger in a strange land.
Yeah, stranger in a
Yeah.
strange land, which California is like a whole new country at this point. Let's not.
Isn't
Don't-
that crazy?
Hey,
how
don't
you
California
remember,
my Utah, by the way, for all of you Californians out there. And screw up my state. But we're not getting political.
Yeah.
We're going to continue on with September 11th. Okay.
I was that Californian at one point many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sidney Fielding wised up and he came to the right side.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of things. So you had some insider trading going on. We have tons of money that gets lost. Okay. Planes come in and hit the building. Okay. I want to start with the towers collapsing. Okay.
I remember I watched it live.
Yeah. Same.
They
And
were
I-
smoking for a long time. And you're like, that's terrible, but
Like they'll put the
it
fires
sucks
out.
that a few people died, but yeah, they'll put it out and
Yeah. It's all going
I
to be
how
fine.
they're going to repair
Getting
it.
ready for school, and my parents were like a plane like crashed into the towers, and it was like, wow, that's crazy. How does that happen? Like, And then on my way, I think I was 10th grade, on my way from the house, by the time I got to school,
The second one.
second plane hit, and then it was like,
I watched,
all we did was
I
just
watched
watch
the second
TV
one
the
live.
whole day.
I watched the second one live because they were filming the one that was smoking.
Yeah.
So we were like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're like, and then it was so surreal. You're like, was that like a replay? But no, that one's still smoking and it's in the other one. And you're like, your mind didn't like
Yeah.
Yeah.
digest it very easy. Cause that I think that lends itself to what we're going to talk about today is like,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Right.
that could even happen
Yeah.
without just massive coordination
So
Yeah.
and cooperation.
I'm going to back up just a little bit because there's some other points I want to bring up before we get to the demolition. Okay. So some interesting things took place during that time. Typically, the standard for the FAA,
Okay.
which controls obviously all flights of commercial airlines, that if a airliner, the policy was at the time, if the airliner does not respond to hails and commands, that the immediate action was to send 2 Air Force fighter planes to escort that plane and to try to get communication with that plane. Okay.
They just pull up next to it like, hey,
Yeah.
hello. You
They're
gonna?
like,
And then
"Hey,
if
bro."
they don't respond, they're just like, yeah, blow that shit up.
Right. So get this. During that time, at near New York and near the Pentagon, there was 2 Air Force bases. Okay, that had F-16s available that they could have sent to control the airspace, follow the other missing planes that weren't being hailed or that weren't responding. And the first base sent 2 F-16s into the area. And as they were flying towards New York, the New York area, right, where the Twin Towers were, they were given commands to fly 150 miles east over the Atlantic Ocean. And during that time, as they were flying east,
The fighter jets were told.
the fighter pilots were told, the 2 F-16s that were airborne, after the first tower was hit, was sent. Well, their whole purpose was to go to New York and control the airspace. So if there was any other planes or potential, hijacked airliners that before hitting the tower, they had the
Which seems like the logical thing to do.
right.
Like you get attacked somewhere, the
There
first
should be
thing's
like
gonna
a-
put up a perimeter.
Right, right. And that's what they were basically told to do. So as they were flying there, they then received orders that they were to fly east 150 miles,
Go make a perimeter over the Bermuda Triangle.
where they where they were over the Atlantic, which is actually further than the F-16s had to fly from their airbase to the location of the Twin Towers. Okay, as they were flying and they got to about 150 miles over the Atlantic Ocean, the second plane hit, and then after the plane hit, they were then given commands to fly back to New York. Okay, and this is verified data. Okay,
It's a little-
the other air base
Little
that
iffy.
was northeast of New York City, the F-16 fighter planes that they had available to control the airspace were actually participating in a military war game and had flown east to participate in this exercise. Okay? What you'll also find is that there was about like 8 to 10 different military air bases on the eastern coast that were participating in military war game exercises the morning of September 11th. And their actual communication system was shut off in order to participate in this war game. So they weren't able to receive
So like
communication.
they turned the alarms off so they could test them type of situation.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So a majority of our air power and military presence that could have been activated to go and intercept these hijacked planes, they were all indisposed or ordered to go somewhere else.
And the power
The powers that
this
be.
person or people have to be able to do that. People
It's
say it's
insane.
impossible, but it's like,
I
no,
sort of
it's
like closing
very
this-
possible.
Yeah, I can't people would get like commit to meet me for my Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
It's like I need to call that person and be like, can you make sure these people show up?
Yeah.
No problem.
He'll be like, so who have you killed to deliver a message?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, I have to kill other people?
Oh,
and they're like, well, yeah, that's
I
how.
can't even kill my chickens.
Yeah. They're like, this is probably the wrong line of business for you.
Okay, so
I'll stick to sales.
you had all this military stuff take place, right? Where they weren't able to respond. They couldn't get to the Pentagon. They couldn't get to the Twin Towers. They couldn't control the airspace. All that stuff. Okay. There's another event that was widely publicized afterwards. President at the time, George W. Bush, happened to be at an elementary school
Right.
where he was visiting and reading this book, I guess, to like these kids or whatever, the teacher, right? Cool little publicity thing. And there's that footage, which we'll throw up here, where George Bush is sitting there, he's reading with the kids, and one of the Secret Service agents walks in, whispers in his ear, letting him know that basically the second plane had hit the second tower. Okay?
Oh, so the first one had already hit.
First one had already hit, he was already aware.
Okay.
Then he was notified the second one hit.
Okay.
Do you know how long he sat there and finished reading with those kids?
How long?
30 minutes.
I have a theory on that.
I've never understood why people are so mad about that. You guys might be able to enlighten me.
I'll give you some enlightenment. I want to hear what you have to say.
So, being a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
an active conspiracy theorist, professional conspiracy theorist, I think what happened when they went and like whispered that to him, I think, and you can bleep it if it spoils it, I think he thought, holy crap, my dad has pulled the trigger on all this crap. How am I gonna handle all this? And he sat there for 30 minutes
Thinking.
not wanting to panic people, just trying to think,
Stay in the pocket.
how am I
Right.
going to move forward on this?
That would be weird if you rolled up in it. I've always thought he was an evil dog. But it's possible you're just kind of like in this weird world.
I think he's the son of the master puppet, or at least the
Right.
face of the puppets.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably like, oh,
I think he was
fetch.
just fun. He's like doing cocaine.
Right.
Owns the Angel
Yeah.
or the Astros.
Smoked weed so he didn't have to go to the Air
Yeah,
Force. Like,
yeah.
he's just living his best life.
This is like a good life. Then all of a sudden, like, hey, buddy, you're going to be president. He's like, but I don't want it.
He's like, I don't want to.
He's like, well, we have to. We have to blow up these buildings.
Yeah, it'll affect our oil. And
He's like, I owe these guys in the Middle East. I told them I'd do something like this.
Right.
and he's
Yeah.
like, well, all right. You're not going to do anything crazy. No, normal. Just like, 2 terms. It'll be smooth.
That's an interesting
And then
take.
he's in there like 6 weeks. And then
I will say,
blow up the freaking
one of the
towers.
funniest presidential memes is when they're interviewing about it. And he's on the golf course.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know this one.
He's like,
Dude,
they're
it's
like,
the
so what do you
best.
think? He's like, these scoundrels we're going to hold them accountable, and their evil deeds will not go against the American people. Or my name is not George W. Bush. And then he's like, now watch this drive. And he just
He
gets
literally
up
walks over.
and laces a driver.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Are you
It's a
serious?
real thing.
I'm like, that is really out of touch,
Yeah.
but good drive.
Oh my gosh.
hilarious.
I didn't know that. I'll pull it out. So
My
we can see
favorite
it.
Bush thought is when he's giving a speech and that guy
Throws it-
runs at him and throws a shoe and he just dodges it, looks at him like, oh yeah, serious? And the guy's grabbing him and he just like chuckles.
I mean, he might be evil, but he's pretty funny.
I think he's just a cowboy. He's just like the kid of an oil tycoon
Yeah.
who happens to like owe Satan
Yeah.
a lot of
I bet
favors.
you one thing. He probably had a go-kart when he was a kid.
Oh, dude. I bet you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Yeah.
He probably wrecked his go-kart, killed his girlfriend in the accident. He just had to
like,
just walk
he was,
away.
I'll take
he
care
was
of
up in
this, son.
Massachusetts,
Just had to
hanging
walk
out,
away
hanging out
from
with
it.
Ted,
Yep, and it just
driving go-karts.
just got taken care of.
We'll take care of
Oh my
this.
gosh.
No big one.
So sad, but it's probably true.
10-year-old Bush.
Well, get this. Get this. Here's another interesting take on that whole like scene, right?
Okay.
So get this. I've watched 24. Watched a lot of TV
Fall Guy.
in my time, right?
Dukes of Hazzard.
Let me put it this way. Let's say the President of the United States is at an elementary school. He's got his entourage of Secret Service agents, right? Maybe like 15, 20 guys, right? Who knows? He's got maybe some soldiers that are on call in case he needs them, right? But let's say
Mistresses, just like 3 or 4 mistresses off
yeah.
camera.
in the
Yeah.
in the limousine.
they're in the limousine.
They're in the limousine.
When he's done.
They're at a school, so they
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, they're in the limo.
There's kids there. He's got some tact.
Yeah.
But now let's pretend that it's been confirmed that there are terrorists that have hijacked airplanes and crashed them into the Twin Towers. And we also know that there's 2 other aircraft that are unaccounted for. And what are you going to do with your president if you're a Secret Service agent and there's an active terrorist attack? You're at a soft target. And you're
2
like,
airplanes trackers have
I
been turned
never
off.
thought of that.
and you know what?
Get the heck out of there.
No, you're wrong. You actually finish reading the book.
Oh, because that's what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Oh.
Which then leads you to believe that
There were.
why would they not secure the president unless they knew for a fact that he was not in danger?
They weren't coming to that school, yeah.
Okay. Now,
I've never thought of that. That's interesting.
yeah.
He was pretty chill. He did
That's
chill.
why I think he just sat there in it.
I just thought maybe he was good at Texas Hold'em.
No.
No, that was. I'm
He's
pretty
like, I
sure he
need to
probably
find
like
out
pooped himself
if
a
this
little
dog
bit and was
makes
like,
He's probably like,
"Oh,
Dad.
man."
I mean, I actually know how that
Dad.
feels a little bit because I have been like in a group text,
Yeah.
you know, with my family, and so it's like, oh gosh, no offense, family, but
Yeah.
this would probably be worse if my dad had
Like, silly dad.
murdered thousands of people.
Yeah, probably be a
That
bad
would
thing.
be really embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So get
And then
this.
you have to go be the face of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to like, yeah, that'd be terrible. So get this. So now let's go.
Poor George Bush.
Let's go
You're right,
to
Philly.
Poor guy.
the
Poor guy.
controlled demolition of the Twin Towers.
Whoa.
Can we
Are
time
you
out
saying
for a second? Can we time out for a second? What about the planes, bro?
Oh, we're gonna get there,
Oh, that's later.
dude. I'm barely like.
Oh my gosh.
Do you see all my notes? We're
I
getting
can't
there.
because the font's so small. It just looks like you have lines typed on your
Dude,
screen.
I got eagle eye vision, bro.
You do. Freaking watch
It's
out.
my superpower. But anyways, controlled demolition. Okay. Anyone that's ever gone on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or Instagram has come across a video where they demo some type of building, right? And what do you typically see?
They're rad too to watch.
They're freaking awesome.
Usually the Vegas casinos are my favorite, but they always go like they explode, but like they go like the building doesn't really change. It just goes until the top just disappears.
Yeah.
Did
the
you-
roof, then they hear, and you go, and then the bottom floor's blown out, and then it just free falls.
And
Down
the
into
bottom,
its own
and as you watch it in
footprint.
slow motion, the bottom is collapsing.
Like it's eating it up.
This is bottom collapsing, and then the top just comes down. To
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So some interesting events took place before September 11th at the Twin Towers. There was an assessment that was done by a construction company when they went in to do maintenance and a assessment of the building. During that time, there was a document written given to the owners of the Twin Towers and basically stated that they recommended that the elevator shafts in the center of the building, which
store bombs.
Close.
close, they said that they should be reinforced.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Now, the original construction of the Twin Towers, the actual engineers that created the building stated that the building would be able to take, you're not going to believe this, an airplane crashing into it. It would be able to sustain 600-mile-an-hour winds.
Okay.
And because of the unique...
Wasn't the outside kind of the frame, like the part you could
It
see?
was. That was actually the part of the steel construction of the building. That they said that this was such a unique construction of a building. It was unlike any other building that had been built at the time. What it was is they basically took massive, giant, huge kind of square in the center of the building that was concrete and reinforced. And that went up the entire center of the building. Okay, which is, think of it like the spine of the building. Okay, and then what they did is then they used the steel beams and steel construction that wrapped around the outside of the building. And then all the levels of concrete were then connected to the center and
Sounds
the
pretty
outside, right? Extremely strong. Had never been done before, and that's why it was so unique, and that's why the engineers were so proud of it and said that, like, you could crash a plane into this, 600-mile-an-hour winds, it can withstand earthquakes, you could actually, like, have a floor collapse and the building won't collapse. Highly sophisticated engineering at that time, okay? And so they were basically told that, hey, you should probably reinforce and do some changes to the interior side of the interior part of the building, right? The skeleton of the building. Which, if you think about it, if the outside of the building, for some reason, those steel construction had failed, the outside of the building would have collapsed outwards, and you still would have had the spine of the building still there. And so there is reason to believe that there was some foul play there, which I'm going to come back to that here in a minute. Okay, so you have the controlled demolition. I say it's controlled because it fell perfectly in place.
Also, you'll get into it, but people had access to the floors that they needed to have access to be able to put demolition on.
Do you want to know where the actual, based on their plans that they drew, first of all, the company that was contracted to do that work happened to be on the floor of the first airplane that hit the tower.
The one that was auditing the building.
The one that was auditing building, and not the auditing part. They had an outside source audit it.
Okay.
Then they contracted it out to a company that
To reinforce it.
and they happened to be on the floor where the plane hit. Okay. Also,
I mean,
when they
Silly.
the company that was contracted drew up plans of what their construction and reinforcement would look like, and guess what floors they reinforced?
Which ones?
The ones on both the south and the north tower where the planes hit.
If they just would have reinforced them more, maybe.
Yeah, reinforced them better.
Super
Yeah.
weird. Okay,
Hadn't thought that before.
There was a lot of reports from people that worked there.
Don't hire them for your reinforcement needs.
Yeah, because they reinforced a building and it still collapsed.
Yeah.
Okay, now fast forward. Okay, there was actually a former BYU University professor who was a specialist in like explosives and minerals and I don't know what the exact
Metallurgy,
term-
right?
Yeah, metallurgy or something like that. Okay.
I think they got themselves in trouble.
Yeah, he's a former BYU professor for a reason because they didn't like what he had to say. Okay, but he ended up actually getting in contact with another university who had dust and debris from the World Trade Center collapse. Okay, he was able to acquire it, and he actually ran several tests on it. And when he was looking through his microscope, looking at this debris and dirt,
This to me is the most damning part of
he
the whole
found these red flakes that happened to be among what would typically be like concrete dust, maybe like remnants of
Wasn't
like
like
rebar.
Thalmite or something like that? Or
Thermite or something
not
like
just
that.
even thermite.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
so
just
thermite is basically taking
An
like
accelerator.
iron oxide, okay, which is basically like really fine iron fragments, right? And then they mix it with other chemicals, and it will basically burn, right? Very like you could basically make thermite in your own home, probably with what you have in like your kitchen and your
But don't,
like cleaning
please.
room. Don't do it.
I heard they like did
Connectors,
it
don't
and then
do
they
it.
like painted the walls with that stuff
Okay, now
as like an accelerator to heat up.
there's actually what's called nanothermite.
Okay.
Okay, now the difference between normal thermite and nanothermite is they introduced organic particles, organic minerals to the mixture, which makes it burn longer and hotter. Okay,
Now, why would you?
and all the evidence that
And this BYU guy found it?
yes, and work
That's
with
why
other
my kids go to UVU.
yeah, dude.
Smart.
Go Wolverines.
Okay, but basically there was a ton of physical evidence that showed that nanothermite residue and molten metal, which you wouldn't get jet fuel, doesn't burn at a high enough temperature to basically melt metal to the point where thermite does. Like the threshold's vastly
And they've
different.
done tons of tests with the steel beam, jet fuel. They light it on fire, and the steel beam, they
This
put weight on
withstands
top
it.
of it. It doesn't.
Doesn't do anything.
Just strong.
Also, in the history, I might be jumping ahead too, but there's been so many fires in like steel structures in the history of our freaking world. None of them have ever collapsed. Look at all the huge fires in Chicago. The buildings don't fall down.
What if they lied and they made it out of wood?
That would be a good insurance scam.
They probably save a lot of money. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So those original builders were just telling a fib.
Yeah, I'm surprised it lasted as long as
Yeah.
it did.
Like, it looks like metal, but it's just wood.
It's like, oh, those aren't thermites, they're termites.
They're termites. Yeah. The planes were loaded with termites.
And bats.
Bats.
And bats with backpacks.
See?
So
All coming together.
there's also
Makes sense,
evidence
makes
that
sense.
was found in people's apartments all over the ground and around the area of the trade centers where they found molten metal beads.
Okay.
These beads,
I've heard of the beads, but I don't know the significance.
they are basically typical, I guess you could say aftermath or the leftover when you use thermite against metal.
I was talking with my dad. He was a welder and a fabricator, and he had a plasma cutter. You ever seen a plasma cutter?
Yeah.
Go? So it's like white hot gas shoots out really powerful, and when it would cut, I remember the metal would kind of like try to pool, and then it would drop, and it would be a ball.
Yeah, they call that metal slag.
Slag.
Okay, and what they found is they found metal slag all over the place. Which
That was my high school girlfriend's name.
metal slag?
Metal slag.
Metal slag. She was a pistol.
Nice.
I don't want to know where you met her. But anyways,
Shout out metal
Also,
slag.
they freaking clean that mess up so fast.
Yeah.
Like FEMA happened to be doing a drill on the East Coast as well. And
Well-
it was like everything fell,
Well, Steve Buscemi was
and
there.
then they're like, let's put it on.
Yeah.
I think he's just a good guy who's like,
Steve
this
Buscemi
is
was
crazy. I'm gonna put on my
he's a
freaking
good
firefighter
he's a good
uniform.
cleaner, dude.
Yeah.
He's a freaking good cleaner.
well, get this. Did you know that all the metal from the trade centers collapsing? Do you know what happened to that metal? Because what's
They
significant about
probably
the metal?
recycled it.
Well, guess what's significant about the metal, though? If thermite was used,
You could
the
test
evidence
it.
would be in the metal.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened to all the metal?
No,
dumped it in the ocean
they
with
went on an
Bin
aircraft
Laden.
carrier. Yeah, it's with Bin Laden. It's his.
No, there was actually all within days, okay, within weeks, all that metal was gathered up into trucks and it was shipped to the Middle East.
What? Why?
And it was turned around and sold in the Middle East as recycled metals. So not only did it not stay in
They
the
just
United States,
really
it was
felt like recycled.
literally
would they-
shipped to the Middle East
Why would
where it
they-
was turned around and sold for scrap.
Bro, that does not make any sense.
But I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened.
It was taken, 90% of it was dumped in the ocean.
Yeah.
And then they sold a few of the bricks for paparazzi.
The Middle East.
Yep.
And they're like, well, this is all of it.
Sold in truckloads. Truckloads and truckloads would drive, and they would basically take it to the ocean. It was put on a barge, shipped across.
That is so wild.
Yeah, it's
Execution.
freaking nuts.
It's like when they lose JFK's brain. It's like even
Right.
if nothing happened, even if that wasn't, even if just Lee Harvey Oswald, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
wow, you can't lose anyone's brain.
Right.
But the president who'd just been murdered,
Yeah.
lose brain. Well, okay, you don't want to. You never would ship metal to the Middle East to recycle it,
Yeah.
but you really wouldn't in a tower that was just attacked.
Right. It's like an airplane crashes in like
You know what I mean? I'm like, pull all the conspiracy stuff out
Yeah.
of it. You wouldn't do that.
it'd be like an airplane
'cause it's
crashes,
evidence.
the insurance company's looking into it, and we're like, what happened? And they're like, let's put all this in a warehouse, and then the next day they're
I'm gonna
like,
tell
oh,
my-
we just sold it actually.
Normally wrecked our minivan. I'm just going to ship it to the Middle East. And be like,
Yeah.
you owe me $20 million
Yeah.
now. It was a really nice van.
Do you remember when that happened to some guy? His truck got stolen, and then there's video that like they're like Afghan ISIS
Oh, yeah.
were like driving around. They had it,
It's like Dan's
the
tow
gunner, and
truck.
it's like, yeah, and he
It's
was
like-
getting all this hate mail.
it's like Dan's
He's like,
tow
my
truck.
truck was stolen. Like it's literally
They're
like,
like, death to
yeah,
America.
yeah. It's like news stories about it.
Oh my gosh.
That would happen with your minivan.
Yeah.
You'd send it
Literally.
out there. They'd be like,
be
is that
driving around.
Travis's
Was
van?
that-
They
Was that
put
the
like a
Sienna?
PPK on the top.
They're like, did that van kill a bunch of chickens?
You gotta get rid of the
Yeah,
evidence.
I gotta get rid of it, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want the chicken mafia to get me.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay. So, tons of evidence that it was demoed. Okay. Now let's go to the other buildings. Okay. So in the
What those two towers, what was their number? Were they 1 and 2?
I think so.
Building 1, building 2.
I think so. Now, in the complex of the World Trade Center, there was multiple buildings, right? There was basically buildings 5, 6, okay, that were actually like 9-story buildings that were right next to the Twin Towers. Okay. In the collapse of the Twin Towers, tons of debris and metal and all kinds of stuff landed on those 9-story buildings. Guess
That
what
makes
happened?
sense.
Guess what happened to those buildings?
They withstood it.
The couple floors, were damaged. Maybe a floor collapsed, but the buildings themselves pretty much withstood the weight and the damage of those buildings falling and collapsing on top of them. Okay. That also is the same for Deutsche Bank, who happened to be across the street. I think it was the Milanima Hotel, which was also across the street, and had significant damage hit it, and even had fires, but didn't collapse. Okay, fires were put out, or they burnt themselves out, and it didn't collapse. Okay. Now, Building 7, which happened to be a block away, okay, wasn't in the debris field.
Okay.
Okay, but there was fires on, and I can't remember how tall Building 7 was. I think it was like
It wasn't super big.
It was like a 40-story building.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And apparently, according to reports that were released after September 11th, that there was debris that caught the building on fire, and because of the fires that were in Building 7, it caused the collapse. Okay? There's footage
and Building 7 housed like FBI, like
No,
CIA.
It was CIA, the SEC, who's the SEC?
Those are the people that had the trillions of dollars, bro.
Whoa, hold on. There was the SEC, which is the Securities Exchange Commission.
Interesting. Okay.
And who investigates financial crimes?
The SEC.
The SEC. So at the time when on September 10th that it was announced to the public that the federal government had lost a few $1 trillion, not a big deal, who was currently investigating that? It happened to be the SEC. Do you know which office of the SEC was investigating it? New York City office. Where's the New York City office? It's in Building 7.
Building 7.
That collapsed.
That's mighty convenient.
That's super convenient, okay? And on top of that, you also had the second biggest CIA office was housed in Building 7. It was the largest office outside of Washington, D.C., was in that building, and that was completely and utterly destroyed. You also had several other agencies that were in that building as well, like FBI and others. Okay, very important building. And that one also was another controlled demolition, completely fell in place. And it was stated from an official report that the government did that it was destroyed due to fire. Now, on September 11th, there is actual news footage of two gentlemen who worked in Building 7 that they were evacuating and leaving. They got to the 8th floor of Building 7, and there was a massive explosion.
That's what they said.
Yes. And they were then trapped on the 8th floor because of this explosion. Okay? And guess who came to save them? The good old New York Fire Department came in and saved them. And also on that same news segment where they're interviewing these guys who just got out of the building before it collapsed, happened to be with the firefighters that saved their lives, and they thanked them right then and there. So not only did you have two guys that were in the building that got trapped for over an hour in Building 7, their stories were corroborated by the actual firefighters that went in and saved them.
That's great footage.
Okay? Awesome footage.
To me, the moment of impact. Well, me and Mr. Hesh, the corporation counsel, were on the 23rd floor. I told him we got to get out of here. We started walking down the stairs. We made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Blew us back into the 8th floor. All this time, I'm hearing all type of explosions. All this time, I'm hearing explosions. When they finally got to us, and they took us down, because I asked them, I said, when we got down there, I said, where are we? He said, this was the lobby. And I said, you got to be kidding me. It was total ruins. Total ruins. Now keep in mind, when I came in there, the lobby had nice escalators. It was a huge lobby. And for me to see what I saw, it was unbelievable.
Where did that originate from? Did the explosion come from under you?
It was definitely under us.
It was from under you.
It definitely was under us. I'm just confused about one thing, and one thing only. Why World Trade Center 7 went down in the first place. I'm very confused about that. I know what I heard. I heard explosions. When I got to that lobby, the lobby was totally destroyed. It looked like King Kong had came through it and stepped on it. And it was so destroyed I didn't know where I was. I couldn't stop watching it. And that's when I found out Building 7 came down. I was so surprised. And I'm saying to myself, why did that building come down? And I knew why it came down, because of the explosions.
Footage. Now, there was also several
Maybe
others.
it was an explosion, because if they painted the inside of the World Trade Center with that thermite paint, a piece of that fell in it, struck the ground at a certain angle.
Could have fallen and blown like a couple blocks.
Yes, like at an angle. And then it...
Like a Superman. Or maybe it was
It's
a giant...
not impossible.
Maybe a giant bat with a bigger backpack.
Bigger backpack.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of...
Even when I say it, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
feel right.
Yeah.
How on earth would they want a block away? I mean, it is big. Is my mind just not big enough to understand that, like, the fire could catch that one on fire and none of the other buildings?
Yeah.
I think they think people are so stupid.
Well, the thing is, though,
they won't ask questions.
The thing is, Fielding, if you were to just go to general populace, even now, most people are like, yeah, it just fell down, dummy. That's what they told us.
Yeah.
So they're right. If we're right, they're dumb. If they're wrong, then we're dumb.
Yeah.
Either way, somebody's dumb.
Somebody's dumb. So they're right.
Or it's one of another great example of one of the greatest psyops ever.
That's the thing that gets
You'll
me.
believe what we tell you to believe.
If the thing that I think it is true, the administration of it and the planning of it is insanity. It's big time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of moving parts, dude. I mean, putting on, like, you know, when like Michael Jackson did the Super Bowl, that was like a big organizational thing.
Yeah.
This would be a lot bigger than that.
Well, you know what's crazy too? So after the attacks on September 11th, a panel was created, and they outsourced a lot of different, experts and different things to get them together so they could do a full-blown investigation into the collapse of the trade centers and the collapse of Building 7.
They're like, don't worry, we did this investigation of the Kennedy. It's easy. You just get a bunch of people.
10,000-page document was released to the Senate and the House, okay, as their report of what took place. And guess what their conclusion was to why the trade centers collapsed and Building 7
All of them
collapsed?
open page one, and there's like a check for like $1 million. And they're like, looks good.
Close that one.
The reason for the towers was terrorists from the planes and the fuel. And the reason for the Building 7, that wasn't even true?
So get this.
Wait. So we're talking about Building 1 and 2?
Gas.
We're talking the actual trade center buildings that were hit by planes.
The ones that we're famously aware of.
And then Building 7.
Okay, why did they fall down?
The two main buildings that were struck by planes, after that 10,000-page document was created, and the report came out, I think, like 3 years afterwards or 2 years afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So you think about the amount of
is it gonna
time
be like unknown
that it would take to make a $10,000 or 10,000-page document. At the end of it, inconclusive. 10,000
isn't
pages
true,
of data.
What an
dude.
easy way
No,
to tie
I'm
a bow
not
on
joking
it.
you. I'm not joking you. There is quotes.
Then why is the media telling us that it's all this planes and fires and stuff? I just pulled one up on Building 7 that its primary cause was fire.
Well, in that document, when it came to Building 7, they said fire. But on the actual...
Oh, so they know Building 7.
Yeah, Building 7, they
But
know.
they don't know the ones that had the planes crash into it.
Right. They said that it's inconclusive what caused the actual collapse. That's unknown. Okay? Now, dude, this is...
Are you going to talk about the firefighter saying pull it?
Yeah, I won't... I didn't put it in here, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's
Go
like
ahead
a
and mention
thing
it.
where like a firefighter is like on the radio talking about it, and he's like getting people out, and he's like, they're gonna pull it or something. I think it's pull it, which is like explosive lingo for like we're blasting the floors out.
Really?
And so you have video of him saying that, and then they say it collapsed. Where, if I'm getting ahead, just tell me.
No, you're good.
But
you're
they
good.
say like the towers collapsed because the jet fuel like melted the steel.
Yeah, and then they
And
all
so-
simultaneously just
Right.
gave
So
way.
then the roof collapsed on the floor and it smashed itself. Well, if that was the case, one floor would fall and hit, and then it would break the other floor and it would break
Right.
the other floor, and it would fall like that. But people have like done the video and watching it, and it shows that the roof falls at free fall, meaning like
The
it
middle.
never hit anything, meaning the bottom of the building was gone by the time
And
the
that's what it
roof
looks like.
got there.
Yeah.
So if it had where the planes crashed down, like maybe there's 30 stories above it, like it would have hit the other floors, but it doesn't. It just
And the interesting
falls all
thing
the way
about
down.
that too is they've taken footage of the trade centers collapsing, and they've slowed it down. And there's an actual analysis where an engineer was doing an analysis of it many years later, watching it, and as you blow it up and look at the kind of the edge of the building as it's collapsing, right? So you can see like the sky and other buildings, and so this the right on the edge, and every about 8 floors.
oh yeah, you can,
There's a massive like blowout of a window, and there's glass that goes, "Tsh," and then it's like as it falls 8 floors, boom, 8 floors, boom, 8 floors, boom.
the guy who did that analysis, he's probably dead.
Yeah,
Us after this comes out, dead.
I don't believe it.
Travis alive. Daniel and I dead.
There's no way that this happened, and the Clintons are good people.
Yeah.
all right, let's not go too crazy. Let's make it believable. All right. So, anyways, buildings were controlled
The
demolition.
Clintons are in love with each other. They're a happy couple.
They are in
Yeah.
a
They're fine. Model couple for all of us to emulate.
fidelity.
The other interesting thing is afterwards talking about reports. You know that $2 trillion that was lost, never found.
I don't know. Let's go look for it.
Yeah, it's gone.
You would
dude.
think they could,
They
but
can't.
they can't.
They can't because all the evidence and all of the information from that investigation
Isn't that insane?
It was in Building 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. $2 trillion.
So, lots of crazy things that honestly can't be explained. Okay, Building 7's crazy. Why that one collapsed? It doesn't make any sense. It was too far away from the trade centers. The
Building
trade
7 for me is when I started to believe it was a conspiracy because
Yeah.
our good friend, Mr. Alex Jones,
Yeah.
was screaming about it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Did
like,
you know-
Building 7, I didn't even know there were other buildings
Yeah.
that collapsed.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up, I Googled, and there, Building 7 collapsed because of fire. But Alex Jones didn't think so. He was like, gay frogs made it collapse or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the water. That's why I don't drink water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that he called it before
Yeah.
it happened?
Yeah.
It's like
Probably because he's a psyop dude.
Well,
Might be.
they
Who
were
knows?
like, we had no idea. Like, we could have never fathomed that. But like,
And it was like
the
a plan.
year before,
Yeah.
they had done a drill
Yeah.
of like how they would respond if airplanes crashed into the towers.
There's actually the report you're talking
Yeah.
Why
about.
even lie about
And they're
that?
just like, we could have never seen this coming.
How would we know?
This is so
Dude, like,
terrible.
Remember when last year when we went to the convention and
Yeah,
had
we
the-
all practiced this.
yeah, and then we went to Atlantic City
How we
and
would do and how we respond.
murder a bunch of hookers. You know, like government people do.
Yeah, just a normal trip to Atlantic City.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
normal.
I don't
Totally
think it's
fine.
government work. It's just a regular
No,
trip
just
to Atlantic.
Jersey.
The report that Fielding's talking about came out a year in advance, and basically what the report, I can't remember the exact name, but it was something along the lines of increasing the United States' defense, like military defense or something, right? And that report had Dick Cheney on it.
Okay.
It
Solid
had-
guy. Okay.
Yeah. It had and a couple other like big names that were in Bush's administration. Okay.
Rumsfeld. Totally honest dude.
Yeah.
Right.
And in that report, they basically were talking about, well, what would it take for the United States to increase its national defense, increase its budget and its military presence? And guess what was in
An
that
attack
report?
on,
Because
attack
the
on
people,
our soil.
people aren't going to want to vote to increase military spending.
I will
They
say,
said-
can we talk about the culture of the United States on September 12th, 2001?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
Everyone loved everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
everyone
we
was
were ready to be
pro-American.
Like, we were like, let's get rid of our freedom. I'm sick of being able to say what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please listen to my
If we
phone
get-
calls.
Yeah, if I can think the way I want to, the terrorists win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nailed it, bud.
That was basically it.
Yeah.
So
And
then
Toby Keith, rest his soul,
Yeah.
he's just out there singing about kicking everyone's ass that didn't agree with us.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
on board with that.
Yeah. Everybody loved it.
It's like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't want to go to war in Iraq?
Yeah.
Who didn't even attack us?
Yeah.
Even if this was an attack?
Yeah.
You're dumb.
Also, Osama bin Laden, who looks an awful lot like Tim Osman, who worked for the CIA.
What? Oh my God. I'm not ready for that.
yeah, I'll bring
Okay,
up the photos
Rewind
again.
that and delete it from my brain.
No, I can't. It's too
No,
late,
you have
dude.
to live with it.
We'll do a side by side so you can see the picture.
Oh my gosh.
But so
Yeah.
get this.
Tim
In that
Osman.
report though,
That's
Donnie's brother?
Osama wasn't a real like.
Was it
He's
Donnie?
a character.
Donnie and Marie's brother?
yeah, dude, this
Almost.
yeah,
Oh my God.
this guy could do a song and
BYU
dance.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you've got like we talked about movies tell you Iron Man 3. That was like the whole thing Iron Man 3. Like the terrorist was an actor hired by the government to scare people. And he was just an alcoholic like bum. They just keep him drugged up and then they'd make him film all these scary videos.
Remember Team America?
Yeah.
When he's the Film Actors Guild guy.
Yeah.
Go infiltrate. He's like, Durka, Durka.
Yeah.
Durka, Durka, Durka. How do those guys,
were-
how do those guys get
were
away with
ahead of
everything?
those guys
Yeah.
ahead of the time.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. All right.
So in that, going back to that report, so in that report they said in order to get where they felt that the nation's defense and military budget needed to be, that it would take 20 years to get them there through standard,
They literally call it
discussing and petitioning senators and House representatives to pass bills, all that kind of stuff. They said that the only other way that they foresaw that the United States would significantly increase
Buckle
its
up,
defense
Travis.
budget is if there was a catastrophic attack against the United States like unto Pearl Harbor.
And George W. Bush was like, I got no time for 20 years. I gotta hit this drive. I got a baseball team to run, paintings to paint, fences to mend. Freak.
Yep. So
Wow.
And that was-
I'm kind of pissed that all those dirty hippies were pretty right.
yeah.
Yeah, they're like, war for oil. And it didn't make sense to my feeble brain back then. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a way, it was a war.
Sheep.
It was kind of a war for oil.
Yeah.
100% a war for oil.
Sorry, hippies.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So now-
sorry, I rolled smoke on you at that one time.
Someone's out there just traumatized.
Yeah.
And that was Travis's
With
fault.
our reach, that message will probably get it to them.
Yeah. Massive following. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay, can I show you the video of George Bush doing that thing?
Yes, please.
Dude, wait.
Please.
Are you talking about the drive one? Dude, it's,
I've never
Yeah.
seen it.
it makes you like him even if he's the devil,
Yeah,
dude.
because he's a freaking stud, dude.
Yeah.
He's just like,
when you guys are describing it, my honest reaction was like, it can't be
Dude,
real.
no, I wanna
can't
watch
be
this.
real.
he's a man's
You
man.
want to hang out with this.
I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Shut up.
Bang!
A lot of people want to send blankets or water.
funny. It's so wrong. Bro, okay,
watch
make
this
sure you
drive.
send that to me so I have it.
There's a bunch of other quotes this video
These
has.
terrorist killers.
They haven't compiled that one
And then he
video.
kind of smiles and kind of
watch
bounces.
this
He kind of
crap.
bounces. I mean, I think I'd probably still vote for him. That's how much of a
Oh
sheep
my
I am. I'm
gosh.
like, yeah, I mean, he lied to us about 9/11, but man, he's got really good comedic timing and a great drive. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. It almost seems like so unbelievable that like we're living literally in some kind of like slapstick comedy movie.
It is that movie. The I always reference Idiocracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mutilate your thirst.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Okay.
All right.
So, 2 other events that we need to touch base with before
All
we
right.
finish off this episode. Okay? And I need some gummies. Sorry about the crinkling sound.
Anymore, you got to say gummies in a different way because they're not CBD gummies, guys.
No, they're.
We're not that
Or
I'm
cool.
gonna
THC
block the logo.
I think Fielding already full endorsed it, bro.
Oh yeah,
I did,
no, they're
yeah.
good.
I'm all in on that brand.
Thanks for sponsoring our episode,
Yeah.
Albanese.
Albanese, we need some money or
some
gummies.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Every time I go to the store, my kids want the gummy worms, but they don't want like affordable bag of gummy worms.
Yeah.
They want these ones that are like $18. The huge bag.
Albanese figured out how to take nothing
Yeah.
and make it premium.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, guys.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right, now, Pentagon.
Okay. Oh yeah, dude. The Pentagon has always made me mad.
So, prior to 9/11, a couple things you need to know. One, the actual part of the building that was hit, quote unquote, by I want to make sure I get this right, a plane.
Probably an unimportant, like the gym or something.
No.
No.
Well, it actually happened to be part of the Naval Command's area.
Also, no, it's a pretty targeted
But guess
spot.
what was happening at the time?
What?
It was being remodeled. And no. Not only just remodeled, it was being reinforced. Given stronger beams, brick, all that kind of stuff. They want to make it more safe, I guess you could say, for the Naval Command and some very highly important government people that are in the Pentagon. They even replaced the normal glass with 1.5-inch bulletproof glass. And guess how many casualties? There's 5,000 workers that work in the Pentagon at any one time. Okay, and the casualties
16.
was like 100.
Oh.
Okay, so still a lot, still sad.
The way
But
you set it up, I was going low.
sorry, man.
Yeah,
I should have
you did-
like
it did
started
seem that
higher
direction.
and like set you up better. That was my bad. But significantly less than the trade centers, right? And here's the coolest part about I shouldn't say cool, the most interesting and outrageous part of the Pentagon attack. The actual quote unquote evidence and footage and things like that the Pentagon had of the plane coming in. Keep in mind, these terrorists, the one that was flying the plane into the Pentagon,
Yeah.
was going to school to become an airline pilot here in the United States. Do you know how many classes he passed?
3.
0.
Hmm.
Do you know how many classes he went to?
3. 0. Okay, 0.
Okay.
Edit this in.
A 747.
On the first one too.
Okay.
0.
You're right. Dude, great guess.
Yeah,
Great guess.
I feel like I could just hop in the cockpit of a Boeing 747 and probably just maneuver it around the sky pretty
but-
easily.
Not just maneuver it. Pull off a maneuver that is so significantly difficult that even highly trained pilots, when they saw the flight path that the government released showing how the plane came in to hit the Pentagon, that even skilled pilots were like, I would never be able to do that.
Their thoughts like, I don't want to get my head blown off. So
Like-
that seems doable. Yeah.
So the plane
It's like,
itself
that didn't happen.
starts descending, flies over the Pentagon, makes a hard bank. Okay.
They can do that.
Significantly harder than what would typically be possible in a 747. Okay. And after that bank, it banks in and descends at the same time, gets about 5 feet off the ground.
5 feet?
Yes. Flies that sucker
Oh,
nose
the Pentagon.
into the
Yes.
Pentagon, about 5 feet off the ground as it flies over a couple hundred yards of grass. Levels that puppy right in there and just sinks it in like a freaking hole-in-one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
The craziest
that didn't
part
happen.
is the airplane just like disintegrates
Yeah.
when it hits.
So, yeah.
I remember early on, I don't remember the date or anything, and I haven't been able to find this since, but I was watching the news, and there was a guy talking, and he was saying that this could have been a plane, it had to have been a missile.
Yeah.
It was like in
They
the
scrubbed that.
And it was like
yeah.
in the news, and it's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only footage of it is just like a crappy gate thing of like the Pentagon, and it's like, I'm sorry, you want us to believe that the Pentagon
The Pentagon has probably
doesn't have cameras
4D back
everywhere.
then or whatever. What is
Yeah,
it? 4K.
and all they do is just show one frame where it's like nothing, and then the next frame
Is an
has
explosion.
like an explosion.
Yeah.
And then you look at the hole, and it's like a 10-foot hole.
yeah.
Well, and the interesting
And
thing
then
about
there's like
that, too...
paper that's just like on the side, like
So this is a true story. So my
It's
wife's
all true.
best friend.
you gotta stop saying
Yes, all right. But I'm just saying this is also a true story.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
addition,
In
all the
addition
other
to
true-
our...
There
yeah.
you go.
Okay, got
there
it.
you go.
So in Hood River, Oregon, her best friend had a house right next to the little municipal airport.
Okay.
And one day, one of those little single engine
Little
planes
Cessna.
took off. So it's not even going full speed yet. Took off, kind of like, and crashed right into their house. And just yeah, exactly. Pretty serious. And he died, but still, I mean, this was like 100-year-old house, and I don't know, it just was there and was like fine. But the hole was bigger than the Pentagon
Yeah.
hole. You know, the hole in this house, which was, you know, I think they were able to remodel it, but I mean, it was probably like a 30-foot hole from like a Cessna
Yeah.
taking off and just landing, not someone who flew it
Yeah.
full speed into the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's footage of like what like an airplane hitting like a bird in the air, and the nose like dents in on the airplane.
Yeah.
And then supposedly like it just like crashes through all the glass. Like
Yeah.
the airplane doesn't even slow down when it goes in.
Well, the interesting thing, too,
That's
about
why
that...
there's like there's some that say that that's like CGI,
Incinerated.
like Project
Oh,
Blue
CGI.
Beam. That it was just an image
I think it was a Tomahawk missile.
that
I think
goes,
that's what it was.
Well, into the Tomahawk missile into the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Into the towers, it was just like a projection over something.
You
Which,
think it
have
was a
you
projection?
seen-
I thought I was thinking maybe it was military like planes that were remote
Well,
controlled.
yeah, because then you have that girl that's like talking about the airplane. She's like, "There's no windows on that thing," and when you watch the footage, it's like, "Yeah, there's no windows on that thing," and it has a big like bulge on the bottom of the
Yeah.
airplane, and they show like remote controlled like
planes.
planes
that time.
have those huge things, but they're usually on the top, and then this one was on the bottom. But have you seen? Because I'm like not up to date with the Marvels. My kid wanted to watch Spider-Man, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, let's watch this one."
We need
And
to
it's
watch
the one-
this more because I think there's a lot of truth.
It's the one where Spider-Man like goes to Europe or something.
Fights... oh, my gosh. It's not Octavius. It's...
Oh, Mysterio.
Mysterio. Yeah.
The freaking bad guy is using
Project Bluebeam.
freaking 3D projection
Yeah,
to
basically
create
using
this
drones.
scary monster.
Yeah.
And the drones are like
Projecting,
invisible.
yeah.
And then they project this image, and then they're shooting like the lasers and doing all the damage. And I was watching that, and I was just like, my kid didn't understand it, but
Yeah.
he's only 4.
Yeah, he's
I'll
like,
teach him as he gets
He'll
older.
be fine.
Yeah.
You'll get him.
But isn't that like nuts? That it's like, yeah, movies are always telling us the truth, what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting when I really think that will happen. Like I think that I really some of the stuff.
Some
of the stuff I go both ways, but like
exists.
but it's like they'll come out and they'll pull that to try to get everyone all in one camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked on September 11th.
Yeah.
You think about that.
Yeah, dude, it did.
You
Everyone
got
had a
everybody
bumper
that
sticker.
was like uber patriotic.
Never forget.
Well,
Yeah.
Cat Williams' joke of like, tell me what their uniform looks like. And he's like, I'll wait.
For what?
The Iraqi uniform. He's like, you can't tell me what their uniform looks like. He's like, we're just dropping bombs on people in their backyard barbecuing. And it's like, that's true. And the American people, we were like, yeah, like we wanted blood. And they're just like, we didn't even like, we weren't even a part of it. Dropping bombs on
Like,
them
I'm
for
a terrible
years.
human, I know. Meaning Hussein.
Yeah.
Uday. We
Yeah.
know we're terrible, but what you're killing us
Like,
for,
you're-
we didn't do.
You're also like killing our people. Like, chill.
Yeah.
I mean, Obama freaking myrtleized people with those
Yeah.
drones.
Yeah.
Dude, so sketch.
He's like, all of our friends and allies for the last couple of years. Nope.
Yep.
Drop bombs on you.
Yep.
Dude. So then Pentagon gets hit, right? Doesn't make sense. There's no footage of the planes. Pentagon only released 2 videos. They're like frame by frame. You don't see anything. There's no evidence. They claim they found a flight recorder, but there's no evidence of the flight recorder. And then if you think about an airplane hitting it, it's a 747. It has 2 twin turbine engines.
Are they saying that it was a 747 that crashed in the...
Yeah.
Yeah, they show an airplane like
I thought they said it was a small
Propeller.
one that crashed in the Pentagon.
out in front of the Pentagon, but it's the wrong size.
Well, they don't have propellers in 747.
Well, it's not a propeller. It's whatever their
the
propulsion
fan
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's out there, and it's the wrong size for
Those
what
are
they're
big
saying
planes,
is.
bro.
And then they did
Like
like
the
a
engines
computer.
on the 747 are bigger than this room.
Yeah, they're huge.
They did a computer simulation of like what happened to the airplane, and they're like, yeah, it crashed and it hit all these pillars, and then it just like dissolved as it spread out.
When
like
you
The
look at
magic
Pentagon.
bullet came in.
Yeah.
JFK
When-
style.
Yeah.
When you look at the actual image of where the plane hit,
Oh my god.
there's like you would think you'd have the fuselage that would hit, you have the wings that would hit the building, and then you'd have the 2 turbine engines that are huge, massive, heavy, would have gone into the building too. But there's no evidence of the actual wings hitting the building or those turbines. It's just like one little hole, and the building like collapsed on this side.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm guessing whatever was supposed to happen didn't trigger. So when the Tomahawk hit, there was supposed to be more of an explosion, and whatever was supposed to trigger failed. That's why they're not releasing any of the footage. Like, it didn't work. It
Yeah.
worked on the other things. And the same thing, like when the guys crashed in the field.
Oh, that's where I was about to go.
Okay, I'll just wait.
Yeah. So Flight 93, right? Which is famous for this, like the quote,
I know.
let's roll.
I literally cried about the Let's Roll story.
I think
Yeah.
everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great story. It,
I'm gonna be so pissed if that's not true.
so patriotic. It's not true.
Toby
Never
Keith.
happened.
Toby Keith, come on.
And this is
First of all, cell phones working at that height.
Back
We
then,
were crazy to think
back
that was
then.
like normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back then for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, they barely
Yeah.
do. I mean, they don't now, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have Wi-Fi now, but like you're not making calls.
yeah. So then get this. So the actual crash.
It's like that video of the nuclear explosion from the camera that
Yeah.
doesn't get affected by the
Yeah.
nuclear
Yeah.
explosion.
And it's stuff we look
and we
back
think
on.
that we think, oh, that makes sense, and then we're like, wait, that can't
And the
make any
government will
sense.
tell us in like 100 years. They'll be like, oh yeah, that didn't happen.
And we fake that.
They were bad, but like we're good today.
Yeah. So get this. So there's
we'll be like,
actual
okay.
news footage of, reporters and people being interviewed at the site of the crash. Okay. There was a guy who was a firefighter that was on scene, walked over to where the hole in the ground was, where this airplane hit, and he's being interviewed, and he's like, there's nothing. He's like, there's a hole in the ground, the forest behind it, like it looks like it may have been burned. He's like, but there's like no smoke, there's no like, he's like, it's basically like he said it's about 20 feet long and 10 feet wide hole in the ground. He's like, there's no fuselage, no engine parts, no plane, no wing parts. He's like, no human remains, nothing. He's like, I don't understand why everyone's here. And that got scrubbed quick.
He's like, I saw like Stringfellow Hawk flying a black helicopter named Airwolf. And then that was it. Black helicopter, tiny hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then when you look at the actual images and footage of it, in fact, I think I actually, I got some pictures I was going to show you guys here really fast of Flight 93 here. So this, I don't know if you can peek your head around really quick, feeling. This is the actual debris field from Flight 97. So this area right here is where the plane hit,
What?
supposedly. And then
There's nothing there.
and then there was like this part of the forest was burned. Now I've got another image,
But there's literally
ground
nothing there.
level, that this is where the fuselage impacted the ground. And when you look at this,
Are you going to get into passports?
Bro, they
yeah.
Bro, they
You can bring
find
that up, though.
they find bodies at airplane crashes.
correct.
Yeah.
So there was
they're all over.
yeah,
Like,
I've seen Lost,
yeah.
yeah,
a documentary about a plane that was lost
Yeah.
in the Pacific.
I saw it. People
Yeah.
swam out of the ocean.
Yeah.
yeah. So there's no human remains. It just doesn't look like a debris field that you would typically
Bro,
see from
that's
an
nothing
airplane
is
crash.
there.
Yeah.
What? That is that the one they showed us back then?
Yeah.
This
That was the one
specific
that on the news.
This specific image, if you notice on the bottom, is what does
Yeah.
it say? Government exhibit. This is actually part of the government's evidence report of the airplane crashing.
Nothing there, dude.
There's nothing there.
Well, there is something there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
So they supposedly crash an airplane there,
Right.
right? No plane parts, no people.
Mm-hmm.
Pentagon,
Huge engines,
Crash.
aluminum fuselage,
right?
gone.
Thing dissolves nothing.
Yeah.
Twin towers collapse.
Yeah.
Burn. There's so much heat.
Uh-huh.
All of these locations, what do they find? The terrorists' passports.
No, there was one in
I never
particular.
thought
And
about
at
that.
the time, we weren't like
We're like, yeah,
that.
got him.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah, they threw him out the window before.
Convenient, like, oh, here, I got it. Like,
There's one in particular that was
It's
found at the
ridiculous.
site in the debris of the World Trade
So
Center.
it's not just random people's.
No.
passports.
no. It's
The
the
terrorists.
hijackers.
Can't remember his name. It was like Usani
They
something.
found all of their passports.
His passport was found on the ground
Okay.
in the debris field, perfect condition, not burned or anything. Now, I thought about this today. I was like, if I had a passport and I needed to put it somewhere, I'd probably put it like in my pocket, or I'd put it like where I put my wallet, something like that, right? Now, if I'm driving the plane, right?
And you're about to,
And
you're
I'm
about
like,
to die.
Shh, I'm flying the plane. Boom! I impact a building that is full of steel reinforced pillars,
Mm-hmm.
right, on the outside. Then I get inside. There's sheetrock, metal,
So they found
concrete.
them at the towers and in the field.
Yeah. And then I go flying through all that. My body is just ripped to shreds, right? And then I go flying into the building and all my pieces of my body go everywhere. Kind of graphic, sorry everybody. But my passport magically comes out of my butt pocket. It flies perfectly through the air. It goes through a window. It didn't break the window, right? Because the window was already broken. And it flies
Flutters
lightly in
down.
the air long enough. It's floating in the air long enough, maybe like updraft winds up to the building or something. The building collapses, and my passport just lightly on the pile for people to find.
What a miracle.
That is unbelievable. The weirdest part for me then is so they go through all this, and we're just eating it up.
Right.
And they think so little of us that they're like, all these people from Saudi Arabia, we have their passports. Let's attack Iraq.
Yeah.
So they like set this whole thing up,
Right.
and then we're just like, okay, now we're going to war with this. Like, why not just fake the passports from Iraq?
Yeah.
Right?
Makes no sense.
I mean, it's like,
Maybe they had a last minute change.
yeah,
And they're like, well, we've already bought the passports, though. And they're like, let's just, people won't notice.
they're like, we're gonna have this Tony Osmond guy or whatever. What was his name?
Tim Osmond.
We're gonna have this Tim Osmond guy. We'll have him dress up like Hussein.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Osama.
No, not
Osama.
Osama. No. They're gonna have Their original plan was they're gonna have him dress up.
Like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein. They're like, oh, you can't.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like him, but he does look like Osama bin Laden. But that's in Saudi Arabia, they say. And then the guy in charge goes, don't worry about it. These people will eat up anything.
Right.
They're all in the Middle East. They don't care.
Yeah.
And then they were right.
So that's Tim Osmond. And then that's him, like, as a.
What? No. And that guy works for the CIA?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Tim Osmond. And then there's all these photos with, like, Osama. Because he would work and he ran drills as, like, posing as a terrorist to do, like, military drills. So they just took the character that they played the year before and they just ran it live.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another thing. Well, we won't get into it. The freaking vac, and you can bleep all this stuff. And then the like project.
I call them hugs.
That they
The
ran.
hug.
Okay.
Yeah, the hug. I
The
like that.
hug, and then they had the thing that they ran of like what? I can't think of what it's called. Like Operation 2030, something
Lightspeed.
like that. Where, no, that's the one where they created. But they ran a simulation of like what would happen if a disease broke out. How would all the world react to it? So the year before 2020, when COVID broke out, they had a drill where they practiced what would happen. How would the nations respond? What would we do? Where would we send stuff? It's freaking nuts. Let me look up what the actual thing is.
Now, here's another interesting part. So, most of these guys were Saudi nationals, supposedly. Guess what Saudi Arabia told the United States? That they had evidence and what they said was proof of who actually was involved in the attack on the towers. That the United States completely ignored and then also later on said it never happened.
Event 201. That was the thing they did the year before of the breakout.
Okay.
I'm going to say probably, I don't know, was it Mike Tyson?
No, that would be crazy though.
That
Yeah,
would
I was
be
going
a
as crazy.
wild
Yeah,
turn.
that'd be a wild turn. No, the Israeli Secret Service.
Who's freaking? It got their fingerprints in Whatstein's Guyland.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like hide from the algorithm.
Smart.
And what's the other thing they're involved in? Oh, what they killed? What's her face's dad?
Oh yeah, yeah. Aren't they? Isn't it the IDF,
Bro.
Israeli Defense Force, or something like that?
No, they're called Mossad.
Yeah. So
IDF is just their regular army, but
so there's
so hold on.
service.
So Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia, let's just be fair. They probably are biased.
Yeah. Because when all that started coming out, Saudi Arabia starts getting nervous. Like, whoa! You're saying all these guys came from our country, and now you guys are on like some hell-bent war path to kill everyone that's involved? Like, we told you guys.
It was them.
Yeah. These guys. But they said,
And our
we told
government's
you
like,
guys.
We
Yeah,
want
it's
your
cool.
oil.
Yeah.
Just keep making
Yeah.
sure they use dollars to buy it.
Yep. You
Yeah.
go off it. We'll drag you around like Gaddafi.
War for
They
oil.
probably hadn't done that yet.
No.
Yeah.
But they knew.
Yeah.
It was
They
already
practiced.
a phrase. It was already a phrase.
Yeah.
Gaddafi's like, oh my gosh.
It's like, what's
When is-
gonna happen?
When is this going to happen? This phrase keeps coming around. They're going to drag you around through
Why is
something
everyone-
like Gaddafi. It's
Why
like
is everyone saying that?
It's like 20 years earlier. That would give you paranoia.
Dude probably didn't sleep well, but they basically said, Saudi Arabia said, no. It's like this Israeli secret service or secret force or their CIA basically were the ones that actually perpetrated the attack. Which then, if you think about that, if that was possible, our number one ally, who could also benefit,
Who we already were like, how do we increase our spending?
yeah,
The military, like, so it would make sense that our ally would do it. Like, we can't have our hands on this, wink. But if this
Yeah.
happened, wink,
Yeah.
then we could get it, wink, defense budget up, wink. And that would help you because we, wink, send you tons of money for your
yeah,
defense.
wink. We just lost $2 trillion. Wink. Hey, Saudi
Oh my
Arabia.
gosh.
Yeah,
Hey, Saudi Arabia.
How much would this thing cost to
Yeah.
put on? Probably about $2 trillion.
Yeah. And then they're like, hey, Saudi Arabia, wink. We're going to say that these guys came from your country, but wink. Hey, no, it's not. We're actually going to attack Iraq. Wink.
And Saudi Arabia's like, we
Israel.
hate Iraq.
We're like, we hate Iraq. This is perfect.
Yeah. And then Israel's like, hey, wink. Hey, guys, how about you guys help us out? Wink.
It's too crazy almost to be, like, it's too crazy to not be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in conclusion of 9/11, this was by far the most violent power grab by our government,
Probably any government, right?
or any government for that matter, that's ever taken place. What we haven't really dived into is what shortly came after that was a Patriot Act. Patriot Act removed Miranda rights for suspected terrorism.
All those dudes in Guantanamo that
Yep.
Obama was going to set free never did.
Yeah.
You also
Said
had
he drone strike their families instead.
I get yelled at every day working at a bank because of the Patriot Act.
Yep.
That's right.
That's where all the money laundering, CTRs,
oh my god.
all that stuff came
MIPLs,
from.
cash
also-
with IDs.
Under the guise of and under the clauses of the Patriot Act, it gives the American government the ability to spy on its citizens without getting any type of subpoena in order to do that or getting any type of
warrant.
court order
Yeah.
if it's under the guise of terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what just happened on January 6th? In
Yeah.
2022, 2021? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll fix
The
it.
fake insurrection.
Yeah, the fake insurrection. What happened to those people that were arrested? They weren't Mirandaized. They didn't get their Miranda rights. They didn't get a phone call. They were put in solitary confinement for 2 years while they waited for their trial. Treated like terrorists. Didn't kill anybody. They literally went
walked
around and maybe
inside.
smashed some stuff in the Capitol. Okay? And you just not far from where we're at, there's an NSA building that collects data that uses more water to cool its computers than the city that it's located in. And that all is, I have no doubt, our information that is being stored and monitored and scrubbed so that the U.S. government can know what our thoughts are, what we're thinking, what are our political affiliations. Are we
Yes, tune it
leaning...
in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we leaning one way? Are we leaning more conservative? Are we leaning more, liberal? Are we leaning more, are we more
Would you vote for
communist?
someone who's lost his mind and
Right.
is a doddering
Right.
geriatric patient? Yeah.
Well, think of what ChatGPT can do. And that's free for everybody. Imagine what the NSA has and the algorithms that it can run on
Chat
entire
NSA.
entire countries.
Well, and that's the exact story of what's his bucket, Assange
Assange, yeah, and Snowden.
and Snowden, right? They basically got to peer behind the curtain,
Yeah.
and realized holy crap, the United States is doing what to its own
Snowden's
people?
like, hey, they in the military, they just killed a bunch of unarmed people. We should, that's bad.
Yeah.
And then they were like, Snowden's a terrorist.
Yeah, the senators are like, kill Snowden.
Yeah. And he's like, what? Goes to Russia.
And Russia's
And then
like,
Julian Assange gave whistleblowers an outlet.
dude,
now
ultimate
he
Riz
lives the
though.
rest of his
Sidebar. Go. So you blow the whistle on that. Go and get into Peru's embassy or whatever in Britain. Live there for years, and then somehow hooks up with Pamela Anderson. Friggin' come on, bro. That is
pretty amazing.
the biggest pull of all time, dude. I mean, Baywatch, and he's literally the hardest path to Pamela Anderson ever.
And still lands there somehow.
Lands it.
He's
dude.
like, if I can get myself on the map somehow.
Yeah, it's got to make my
she'll know
mark.
who I am.
I'm going to show my mom, and I'm going to marry Pamela Anderson. He didn't marry her, but
But he knows her.
yeah, that's too
They're
deep of a
friends.
conspiracy that we would.
They're friends.
He biblically knows her. Let's say.
Yeah, they're friends.
Yeah.
Well, 9/11's is a doozy.
Yeah.
For the record, though, for anyone that's watching it, that's from the government, it's all fake. We believe
I don't
everything.
believe any of this.
Yeah, well, this is all just mumbo jumbo crap. We don't believe any of it.
Purely
It's not true.
entertainment
We believe
purposes.
everything that happened. Go USA. I say we do more Patriot Acts. Let's do a Patriot Act 2.0.
We need to increase our military spending.
Increase our military spending. I think we need less rights, and I think they should just hire an NSA agent to just sit in our house and screw the computers. Let's just have them sit in our
Daniel.
house and be like, oh,
Daniel.
Trump support.
They already have that, the Alexa.
Daniel,
shoot, dude.
we voluntarily have it sitting on our desk right now.
Yeah, so it can tell me the weather instead of looking out the window. I can say, Alexa, do I need a jacket today?
Alexa, play that song that will also program my brain. No, but if you think about it, it is kind of like if we would have just been willing to increase our spending and reduce our freedoms, they never would have needed to do a 9/11. It's kind of like
So it's our fault.
I never looked at it that way.
Extreme ownership, dude.
Extreme
Jocko.
ownership. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I've always been pro like military spending. I think it's cool to like the shiz they blow up and stuff. It's kind of cool.
That's true. I like Iron Man. That's
I
like
wish
a
they
real
would've
thing,
just
right?
asked
Tony
me.
Stark.
Daniel's going to get recruited into the
Yeah.
CIA now. They're like, that's the type of attitude we need around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pull the trigger? I don't care. Let's pull the trigger on something. That's what I think's important. You know what I mean?
I mean, is this okay? Yes. All right, that's all I need.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
I just want to know one thing. When do I get to pull the red button?
Yeah.
I don't care where we're over that village. Okay.
Have you seen the Beavis and Butthead episode where they're like on tour somewhere and they get into like a military drone thing and they think they're playing like an advanced computer thing. They're flying a drone around and he's like fly over by the guy with the sheep.
Oh my god.
Just
Dude, Mike
a
Judge.
guy with a sheep.
How is Mike
and
Judge still alive?
shooting at him. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna
It's
have to
so
look that
funny.
one
It
up.
is so funny.
It's messed up, but it's funny.
All right.
Sorry, guys. Well, you've been watching Connect the Dots. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Long form episode this time. Lots of content. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're kind of mixing it up a little bit. But again, a couple things you need to remember. One, like and subscribe. Share this with somebody else. I guarantee you YouTube's algorithm is not going to like this episode. It'll probably get like 2 views unless you guys watch it. So share it with somebody. Put it on your social media. Get it out there so people can watch it. There's some fun stuff we talked about. Next thing we need to talk about, connectthedots.com is our website. You can check out all of our information, all of our social media. There's all kinds of cool things in there, information about us. It's awesome. Thanks, Travis, for holding that. Appreciate that. And then Matabel Clothing. Get on there. Website Travis is holding. Order some Connect the Dots merch. It's pretty sick stuff. We're excited about it. More to come. And thanks for watching, guys. And as always, don't forget, you're a champion. You right there, you're a champion. And in case you don't see me in fielding ever again, because Travis doesn't believe any of this, we love you guys. And thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting us. So see you guys next time.